What's up, everybody? The Freaking Geek Podcast again. We're here in Castleton at one of our favorite places to hang out, the Yard Line. We've got a special guest for you this week, Nick Culves, who heads and operates the Hollywood charity event called Crewfest. We'll get a little bit more into that later, but in the meantime, he's here to tell us some great travel stories, bar stories. We're going to brag about some of the famous people he's encountered. Might be a Ron Jeremy story or two in there, so stay tuned, everybody. So Nick, tell me a little bit how Crewfest got started.
It started by accident. It started as a get-together. A bunch of people that was on the Motley Crew or on the Motley.com website. The Shout message board is just a place for Motley Crew fans to interact. And we talked about having a get-together. Let's put some names with faces, you know, and it had been talked about for a while, but nobody had really taken the initiative to do it. And so I made hotel reservations in the LA area, and I made the post on there and called it Crewfest. And it's like,
previous to your marriage or post?
This was previous to the marriage.
Okay.
Yeah, this was back in 2001.
Let me ask you a question about the Motley Crew message board. As far as like a ratio of guys to girls, are we talking mostly guys, mostly girls?
You know what?
Because I know if it was like 1986, there'd be a high girl ratio.
It was pretty much half. Honestly, I'd probably say there was more guys, but it was a pretty good mixture.
Yeah.
It was. I would almost put it at right at half and half. But it was just a thing where we all interacted on there and thought it'd be cool to have a get together where you could put names with faces.
Yeah.
I just called it Crewfest. I'd been to, Ozfest was around then. I'd been to an event called WrestleFest. It just kind of went with what we were doing. And somebody's like, well, what's your idea? And I'm like, I don't have all the answers. I'm going to need some help. It's like, let's have it at a cool place. And somebody else is like, let's have some bands play. Let's have the money raised go to a good cause. Just the ideas just kind of just went along.
I imagine like probably a lot of the people are already sort of working at to some degree in the music business or with other bands.
Pretty much most of the people were just Motley Crue fans interacting on a message board. And
Wow.
And it started, a guy named Tom Morgan had started putting it together the very first year in 2001. I already had plans that year. I couldn't make it. So I didn't even go to the first year that it happened back in 2001.
So wait. You created it basically and started it, or got the ball rolling anyway, and then didn't even attend.
I didn't even attend. My whole thing was to do it in 2002. That's when I planned on getting it started. And he's like, well, we can also do it then, but let's do it first. Let's do it now first so we can get people out there. This was like the early part of 2001.
It was sort of like a dry run.
Yeah, basically, that's about what it amounted to. And
did you miss out on a lot?
I don't know. I missed it. So it went okay. There were some flaws, but it's kind of like learning from your mistakes.
Does it kind of seem like it might be one of those big parties where you don't attend the first one just for whatever reason, and then it's like the greatest party ever?
And it's been such a great run. There was actually one that started in 2001 also in Cleveland, Ohio, which is within driving distance from where I live. So I actually went to that one. And I attended, that one went on for probably about 5 years or so, and I attended it every year. There's been different Crewfests. There's been one in New York. There's been New England. There's been several different ones that have popped up.
And they're all from the same message board or from different message boards?
It all originated there with that group. The people that started after it kind of took it from what we were doing, decided that they wanted to have a get-together in wherever they lived, and kind of wanted to do something for the charity also and do something as well. I kind of wanted to get the name copywritten just because I didn't want somebody starting it, calling it that, and then doing something shady with the funds or the money. Because, I don't know all these people.
Right. The internet can be a dark place.
It can be. And the guy that had started, that kind of oversaw it the first year, Tom Morgan, had promised me, yes, I got it copywritten, we're all fine. Well, it turned out that he didn't. And now I believe either Live Nation or Motley Crue actually owns the actual name Crewfest. But
well, at least somebody owns it then.
Yeah.
You're going to let something terrible happen.
Exactly. They contacted us when they wanted to do, they started a tour called Crewfest. They called it Crewfest a couple of years, and they asked us if they could use the name.
So even though they copyrighted, they still asked your permission.
Well, they asked our permission before they found out it wasn't already copywritten. We had done it for
So probably like their attorneys or something got a copyright
Probably.
and they didn't weren't really aware of it.
We had done it for about 6 years before they called their tour that.
Yeah.
And
Still really cool they asked you though.
it is, and it was, whatever. I mean, they're our favorite band. It's not like we have a problem with them using it.
How does that call come though? Does it come straight from Nikki Sixx or Vince Neil? Or
I
does
don't
it come
know
through
who
lawyers?
it was. I think, if I remember right, it came from the lawyers. The guy that ran our website, he was the one that got the email, and I don't even remember.
So it was just an email.
It was just an
See,
email.
I was still in that like 1986 fantasy where like you get that phone call.
Yeah, no, it was nothing like that. Nothing that cool. It was an email, and the thing was, we didn't care if they used it, and they knew we had done it for many years. I mean, they knew we'd done it, and they'd always supported it. They had never showed up and attended it, but they had always signed stuff for it, and I know Nikki once had put a link to the website on the message board and put, these are the people that's keeping Motley's name alive,
That's cool.
And it was very cool. So they've always been very supportive of it.
So at what point did you actually meet them? So you sort of have this like Crew Fest thing going kind of with their name, with their spirit, but at what point, how many went by before you actually had a face-to-face meeting with someone from the band?
I don't remember. That's a good question. I've met all of the guys in the band at different times, just whatever. I don't really remember. It's all been since then, though, and they know that we do this, and they know that the money goes to a good cause. So they never had a problem with us doing it. We didn't have a problem with them doing it. But we used to just go by Crew Fest. And then after they started calling their tour Crew Fest, we kind of started going by Crew Fest Hollywood, because we didn't want people showing up thinking that they were going to be there and they pay their $20 and expect to see them, So it's worked out well. Honestly, it helped get the name out there a little bit more. But we've had bands from all over the world that have come to play, and we have people from all over the world that come every year to it. It's like a family reunion.
So what was the original charity that you guys chose?
The original charity was the Skylar Neal Memorial Fund.
Straight out of the gate.
Straight out of the gate, that's who it was to. Okay. And that's not really around anymore. So what we do now is we donate it to Letty's Angel of Hope, and it is a cancer research foundation for childhood cancer, and we donate the money in Skylar Neal's name. Okay. This was never started to raise money for us. It was never started. All it was a get-together for a bunch of Motley fans. That's all that it was supposed to be. The fact that this July 30th is going to be the 15th year, and every year's been at the Whiskey in Hollywood, is something I'm really proud of. And it really is a family reunion. I mean, it's literally people come every year just to get together and build on the relationships that we've, there's people that's been coming every year I have since 2002. There's people that come as far away as Australia and New Zealand. We've had people from Italy, Hong Kong. We had bands just last year from that are supposed to actually come back this year from Norway and Sweden. And we
it's
have
always
a band
either
from
like
UK.
Norway or Sweden. It's like they're always either a really great band that nobody's heard of, or they're just terrible.
That's really,
they don't
honestly,
seem to have a medium from my experience.
These bands, I tell you what, there's so many great bands overseas. There's so many great bands. The problem is, if they don't have a following here, they don't sell tickets. Yeah. So we have to have a pretty good happy medium of, if we're doing the European bands, do they have a following here? Okay, and if they don't, we need some good local Hollywood bands to bring some people in. And we get the walk-up too. There's a good walk-up crowd on a Saturday night on Sunset, on Sunset Strip. You're going to get people just, they see the Crew Fest thing, they want to know more about it. So they'll come by. So we get a good walk-up crowd too. But
so when you go through the process of selecting these bands, is there like an official board of judges from people involved in the organization, or is it just like a handful of people that just sort of say, hey, you have to hear them, they came from here, and then one person says, we got to get these guys?
I have 4 or 5 people that really, really help out a lot, and I could not do it without them. And if they come to me with a band and really want them in, usually they get in. Usually it's more suggestions. I pretty much make the final decision on who's in, but any kind of advice or recommendation is welcome. I mean, if it's a good band and we have access to get them and they're going to draw people in, awesome.
So have you ever not put a band through, not passed them, and then they blew up later?
Not that I know of. I can't think of any, but yes, I can actually. Yes, there was a band that I still kick myself because I wanted him in. It was back when Tom had started it, and he was making the final decisions, and I was just one of 3 people. And I got 2 bands back in 2002. Who I love these guys to death. A band called the Love Hammers out of Chicago, and a band called the Erotics from New York. The Love Hammers, their singer Marty Casey went on to be on Rockstar NXS, got 2nd place on that. The Love Hammers toured with NXS. They've got a lot going on. They've sold out the House of Blues in Chicago since I first met them back in 2001. That's like 2,000 people. The Erotics, I could tell you erotic stories all day. I love those 2 bands. But there's 2 bands I didn't get in that year, and one of them was the Last Vegas out of Chicago. And they're still around, still a great band. The Last Vegas are an awesome band, and people might be familiar with them. They actually did a tour with Motley Crue. They won a Battle of the Bands that finished up at the Whiskey, and they won that tour. They're still around. As a matter of fact, I just saw them just this last weekend at NAMM in Anaheim.
So when they first started blowing up, did they ever send you like hate mail? Like, oh yeah, really missed the bus on that one, didn't you?
Honestly, I think they kind of forgot about it. I remember talking to them about it, and they're like, oh yeah, I remember submitting to that. And a couple of the guys in the band weren't even in it back then and didn't even know about it. They were totally cool. They went on to bigger and better things, and playing a charity show for free in Hollywood 15 years ago isn't something that really sticks with them. I'm sure I told them now I'd still love them to have them back because they really are a great band. But out of the bands that I wish could have gotten in that didn't, there was another band called Erotic Suicide out of Oklahoma that I loved also.
That was probably early 2000s, I'm guessing?
That was 2002.
Sounds kind of like a grunge band.
They were an 80s rockin', just a kick-ass band. They were really, really good. I'm still been trying to get some of the CDs back I had stolen of theirs, and I've actually been working on that recently. They're reissuing some of them, and I'm working on that. But the Last Vegas was probably the biggest band that I wanted in that didn't get in. But now that I make the final decisions, I've got no one to blame but me now.
Right. Cool. So you started out, you had the first couple of years going. You actually attended the second one, right?
Yes, yeah. 2002 was my first year working with it. What ended up happening was Tom was like, look, you're the one that got this whole thing started. You should be part of this. And after we do it, it was in that first year, I believe it was August of 2001. Cleveland and Hollywood both took place in August of 2001. Cleveland was actually like 2 weeks earlier. And Tom was like, look, after this is over, I want to get with you. You know, I want you to be part of this. You're the one that got the whole thing going. So around September of 2001, he got with me and we started working on the show for 2002. And he headed up for a while, and then he's not involved with it anymore. And then another guy named Kirk had headed it up for a couple of years, just because I had a lot going on. I had 2 small kids, or not small, but they were younger kids. I just had a lot going on. And I really didn't want to deal with heading it up. I just wanted to do my part, which was kind of sponsors and advertising. I was fine with that. Well, it didn't work out with Kirk as well as it should have, and I was doing most of the work. And finally in 2010, I said, look, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm taking a year off. I'm not saying it's over, but we took 2010 off. I was like, I need people involved that want to be involved and that are going to help out, not people that just want their name associated with it. I need people that are helping. So
those people are hard to find.
They are hard to find, and I have people now. There's a couple of Susie and Kat. If it wasn't for those 2, for sure, and Stephen and Derica and Kirk, a different Kirk, are awesome. Everybody has their job that they do, and they're all a big part of it, and I love them all, and I couldn't do it without them. But Kat and Susie, Susie's like mother hen that keeps me in line and keeps everything organized. And Kat, the work that she does with getting sponsors, she does the job that I used to do so much better. If either one of those 2 left me, those 2 are irreplaceable to me. I could not replace those 2. If either one of those 2 left, Crew Fest probably would not be around anymore. Kat, the work she does with getting donations, getting new sponsors every year, she's tireless and relentless, and she's had some health problems that I won't go into, but she battles through that, and those two do so much that this wouldn't still be going on without those two for sure. But everybody has their part, and I love them all to death, and I really appreciate everybody.
I think too, something that big, on that big of a scale, where you're actually playing the Whiskey Go-Go, and everyone's living, 800 to 1,000 miles away. Logistically, I think it would probably take 3 to 5 years before you would get a crew together that actually.
It would be tough. I don't even want to think about it.
You know?
I don't want to think about it. And the thing is, everybody's got their role. Some roles are bigger and some are smaller, but everybody has their part that they do. I don't have to really. There's no really explaining. Everybody knows their role. Nobody's fighting, well, I want to do this or I want to do. Everybody's got their role. Everybody knows what they're doing. Everybody gets along, for the most part, extremely well. Rare is the time we even disagree, let alone there being an argument. It's really a family. It really is, and the whole Crew Fest thing is family. It's honestly like a family reunion. This whole thing, it's awesome that everything goes to a good charitable cause. But this was all put together for a get-together for Motley fans, and that's still what it is today. It's a get-together. We have great bands play. It's at a cool place. And I pay, and just like everybody, we all pay for our own flight, hotel, rent a car, everything. Everything's paid for. We cover costs as far as the price of the whiskey for a Saturday night and for local advertisement like LA Weekly. And to have T-shirts made and stuff. But other than that, everything after those expenses are covered, everything made goes to charity. We cover all of our own costs.
What does it cost to buy time in the LA Weekly?
LA Weekly, they actually used to do it for free, but times get hard over the years, and people don't buy print as much,
especially with the internet.
And LA Weekly too it's like Indianapolis's Nuvo. It's something you can get free that tells what's going on. So when you're giving something away free, to cover all those expenses, got to come from somewhere. So in the early years, they put us a flyer in there or something just because it's a charity event. But over the years, they've had to charge, and it's usually around $400.
That's not too bad.
It's not horrible.
For a week?
It comes out on Thursday, so it's like 2 days before the event. And the guy that I work with has been great. I need to find out. I've got his cell phone number and his office number, and I always call his personal cell phone, I think. So I really need to work on that. But they've been great, and it's been a good relationship. But that's really the only expenses that we have. Everything else we pay for on our own because we're not doing it. I mean, we're not doing it to make money. We make a vacation out of it. I go out there the Saturday before and spend a whole week out there. So it's not like I'm just flying out there to do something for charity and I'm out all the money. It's fun for me. It's fun to get together with everybody, to meet new people. There's never been a time I've went out to LA, Hollywood area. The relationships snowball. Because you know this person, you meet this person. Because you know this person, you meet this person. I've got probably 2,500 friends on Facebook, and most of them, I'd say 90+%, I know or have met. Some add me because mutual friends or whatever, but I would have probably closer to 200 friends on Facebook if it wasn't for Crew Fest. The people over the last 15 years that's just snowballed, and you know these people because of these people, it's insane how many relationships I have that I would not have, and the experiences that I wouldn't have if it wasn't for that, and that's what I get out of it, and that's what I love about it.
I can tell you, I actually used to kind of have connections like that, and then the really cool thing was I was probably more at around 900 to 1,000.
Okay.
And the coolest thing was just if anything happened, I remember one time our car broke down in Denver. And I was like, who do we know in Denver? We just started thinking about it. I was like, we knew 3 people, and 2 of them came down, and we had a place to stay for the night.
How cool is that?
We went out and had drinks.
It was just like, makes it fun. Make the best of a bad experience.
It was really great, and I think that's the thing I miss most about like living that lifestyle, is just having connections where it's like, oh, we're getting ready to go to Hawaii. I would know like 2 or 3 people in Hawaii. Somehow,
It's been nice. I know people all over the world, and even some of them that I haven't met, I consider friends just because you interact with them so much. And people that have sponsored. There's a guy named Nick Van Hess from Belgium. that he's an amazing artist, and he's designed, him and Stephen Talbot from California, those two recently have done the artwork for the t-shirts and stuff. And Nick has also done like drawings. Every year he uses blue ink pen. I can't even tell you how cool this stuff is. It's amazing the work that he's done, and it's hard to believe. And he'll do the work, all the artwork, and send it to us, and have like all the bands written on it, all the band names, and a cool picture. Me sitting here telling you this doesn't do it justice. I wish I brought something with it.
Get us a link to his website. We'll throw some of these pictures up while you're talking.
I will do that. I'll have to look. His name's Nick Van Hesse. He's from Belgium, and he does amazing artwork. And he donates stuff every year. He'll send it in, and for the raffle that we have, the raffle or the auction, his stuff's mainly the raffle items, and the people that get it love it. And it's just like a one-of-a-kind thing, but it's really cool stuff.
Kind of like moving forward a little bit here, we're sort of wrapping towards the end of the first segment. And just outside of like all of maybe any of the famous people you've met, because we're going to talk about that a little bit later, what are like if you just give like top 3 of your best road stories or stories with CrewFest, whether it be at the event or in the process of creating the event?
You know what? One of them would have to be Vince Neil's son, Neil Wharton, has played CrewFest. He played, I believe, the very first year in 2001. He's been coming every year since then. Now he's actually living in Denver. Funny you mentioned that. He's married and has a couple kids, but he used to play it every year with his band, the Rock and Roll Junkies. And one year I was supposed to be flying into LA, and he's like, well, why don't you fly into Vegas? We're going to be there. I'm like, oh, what's going on? And he said, well, Dad, Vince Neil, was on tour with Poison and Skid Row. And so I changed my flight. It was like $75, well worth it. Yeah. They picked me up at the airport. We had free rooms at the Hard Rock Hotel in Vegas.
How are the rooms there?
They were very nice. They were very nice. It was such a fun experience. We ended up going. Vince had a cabana, and David Spade was on one side and Pink was on the other. But at Vince's cabana was Phil Verone from Skid Row and CeCe DeVille from Poison.
And Phil, he's the rhythm guitar player?
Phil was the drummer.
Okay, I always get those two confused.
Yeah, he was the drummer. He's not still with them now, but it was a fun time. We ended up going out after the show. We had the owner of the Hard Rock took us to our seats, had this roped off area up in the balcony. Vince's parents had a table. The 4 of us were at a table. And afterwards, the food, you know what? I didn't actually eat their food there. No, I actually
drank a lot?
Yeah, we did drink a lot. But afterwards, we went gambling with Vince. Afterwards, there at the Hard Rock, and then the limo from the Palms picked us up and took us to the Ghost Bar, all the way up. It's like 50-some floors up. Went up there. The guy that took us there knew everybody there. He had the total hookup. Well, they were going to kick people out to give us a table, but he paid for everything. We had like
so for $40, you had.
Oh yeah, it was.
An extreme experience.
Two bottles of Cristal. It was like I forgot how much they were.
God, I forgot how popular Cristal was.
$750 a bottle at the time, and but just partying, had a blast. And the next day, we were getting ready to drive back to LA, and Neil's like, hey, I think we're gonna stop by Dad's. Is that okay? And I'm like trying to be cool. I'm like, yeah, that's fine. Really, I'm like, hell yeah. It's like as a lifelong Motley Crue fan, to actually go to Vince Neil's house. We grabbed In-N-Out and just set it at his kitchen table and ate it.
How weird was that when you first met him in person? We're talking to him in his own fucking
house.
house?
He actually wasn't there. He had went on tour, but his parents, Shirley and Odie, were there, and then we just stopped by and hung out there for a while and ate at his kitchen table, and it was just so surreal to kind of be there. So that was something that I would have never had access to if it wasn't for CrewFest.
Yeah, you were in Vince Neil's house.
Yeah.
Eating at his table.
Yeah, exactly. Just this weekend, I'm a big Rat fan too. I love Rat. And just this last weekend, a friend of mine, Carlos Cruz, the singer for a band called Stonebreed in LA, I ran into him on Saturday night. He was talking about watching football the next day. Well, I was out there on vacation, didn't have a place to watch the games. I'm like, well, hey, if you're getting together somewhere, let me know. It'd be cool to go. And so he goes over. He's good friends with Bobby Blotzer from Rat.
Who, by the way, is a Brazilian black belt jiu-jitsu.
Really?
Yeah, he has a black belt.
I did not know
I
that.
think under Hoyler Gracie. I think he's under Hoyler Gracie.
You know, or is that Ricky Rocket from Poison?
That's who you're thinking.
Okay,
Of.
yeah,
Who
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
thinking of, rather.
Okay, yeah. Ricky's big into that. But Bobby was so cool. We had such a blast, and I was like, just to go to his house and just sit out on the patio and watch football on the flat screen, and just, it was so cool to be there and just hang out. Nothing music related, just fun with friends. Mickey D from Motorhead was there. There was so many people there, and just kind of like a who's who of people just sitting there just watching football, drinking, eating, and having fun. And it was really, really cool. That was a recent experience that, you know, it's just, I wouldn't have had access to if it wasn't for this.
So when you meet these people who are, you know, sort of, I mean, I guess now they're kind of B-celebrity, but really for someone like us who grew up listening to their music, they're kind of A-celebrities. And then, so do you go around and just meet them all at once, or you just kind of like hang back and not talk to them unless they talk to you?
I do what's cool. If it's cool to talk and whatever, I just kind of go with it.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it about me. I don't want them meeting me thinking, God, that guy was a dick, you know, or something
Right.
like that. You know, with the Vince Neil thing, when we went gambling and stuff with him and then went out afterwards, I just kind of hung back and just kind of observed and just kind of took it all in. Bobby was more, I was sitting on his couch and sitting in his house, and he couldn't have been cooler. It was more of a thing where you interacted the entire time,
Yeah.
and it was totally cool. It's just kind of really whatever's cool.
Do you know who Phil Baroni is?
Phil Verone from Skid Row?
Phil Baroni.
Oh, Phil Baroni, I don't.
He's an old school UFC fighter.
Okay.
And he fought for the UFC again probably about 6, maybe 7 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But back in, I'm guessing I think it was either the year before or the year Randy Couture beat Tim Sylvia for the title. So it was probably 2004, 2005.
Mm-hmm.
I had his number and a couple other fighters' numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And so after the fights were over, like the bars in Columbus closed at like 1 o'clock or something. Weird.
Yeah.
So the fights were over at like 12:30.
Yeah.
So by the time the fights were over, we got 2 drinks, and then I started texting people like, "Hey, what's going on? What's going on here? What's going on there?" And so they ended up getting back to me and were like, "Hey, yeah, we're all hanging up here with Phil Baroni and a couple other guys, this and that." So I was like, "Hey, you guys want to?" And I didn't even think anything about it.
Yeah.
But I was like, "You guys want to go hang out with Phil Baroni and all them?" They're like, "Fuck yeah!"
Yeah.
So we go up there, and it's sort of like a semi-quasi like private lounge at this hotel on like the 2nd floor. And so I walk in and see everybody, I'm like, "Oh, cool, this is gonna be fun." So I sit down, and one of the guys that's with me just goes, Phil's talking to his manager about something. He just goes right up to him, he's like, "Oh my God, Phil," and he just starts talking right to the guy. And Phil is like sort of like, I guess you could say,
Turned off by that.
well, his nickname's a New York Badass. He's like a real like New York Italian
Yeah.
type guy. And so at first he just kind of looks over and he goes back to talking to his manager like normal person would take the hint like,
Yeah.
"Don't talk right now." So the kid keeps talking to him. And finally he goes, "What the fuck is your problem, man? I'm trying to have a talk with someone right here. Get the fuck out of my face."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Fuck, Phil's gonna punch this guy."
Wouldn't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
How bad would you feel? You feel like yay big, you know? It'd be pretty horrible.
Yeah. So then after 20 or 30 minutes, Phil cooled down. I was like, "Hey, I'm sorry about my friend. You know, he hasn't. Yeah, he's a big fan of yours. He was just really excited to see you."
Yeah.
He's had a few drinks, and then he was so fucking cool, man. He sat there and talked to me and my friends for probably like 2 hours, asked us questions about obviously questions that he probably wasn't really interested in, like who's your favorite fighter?
Yeah.
Like, who are you guys watching right now?
But he was cool about it.
Yeah, he was so fucking cool about it.
Yeah.
And then he actually got us tickets for the Mr. Olympia the next day.
Oh,
So
cool.
we went and hung out down at his booth with him for a little bit, and Razor Rob was down there. So it was a pretty cool thing. Not to steal your thunder, but I think you got like one story left, right?
It's actually something kind of similar to that. He was asking me about cool experience I've had access to. Reminds me of the friends of mine, the Love Hammers from Chicago. There's a thing called Shotokan. It's fought, I think, in 26 countries around the world. Well, the guy that started Shotokan was actually a cop from Chicago. And his cousins are Dino and Bobby from the Love Hammers. And so the World Championships was in either Las Vegas or Chicago. They did it in both places. And a couple of years in a row, it happened to be in Chicago. Well, since their cousin puts the whole thing together, they were able to get seats like ringside. Now at this thing, there was like out of the 4 sides, 3 of them are on the ground. The 4th side is on this like platform, like level with the ring. And it's like the front row was all these dignitaries in town that like head up this whole thing from all over the world. In the 2nd row was me and Marty and Dino and Bobby and Mark. They're one of their old roommates. I mean, they had 5 tickets for this second row to this big world championship event that's fought all over the world. And there I am sitting in the second row at the biggest thing.
Right.
And it's just because I was friends with them. And you just become friends, and they were talking about it. And so I went to that 2 years in a row, and it was really, really cool.
Does it really pay off when you actually just are friends with cool people where it's not like anything is really costing? I'm not talking about like those friends are like, oh, go to everybody's drinks or everybody's shots, but where it's just through knowing someone and it's like, oh, yeah, he's good. And then,
you know, I'll tell you what the biggest compliment people have given me, and I get it a lot, and I'm so lucky just with all the people I've met, but a lot of people in Hollywood are kind of looking out for themselves, and to do that, they need to do other people wrong. And there's a lot of douchebags that are just looking out for themselves.
That's why I was really surprised that you didn't have more stories about that.
Yeah, I've never had really a bad experience, but couldn't tell you how many times I've had people tell me, I have never heard nobody ever says anything bad about you. You know, as long as we've done Crew Fest now, this will be 15 years, I don't know how many times somebody said, nobody ever has anything bad to say about you. But the thing is, what I do, I don't have to do it at somebody else's expense.
You realize 5 of your ex-girlfriends are going to post on this now. Some girl you forgot about 15 years ago. So just show up out of the blue.
Nobody in Hollywood has anything bad. But the thing is, over the years, there's been so many great bands and so many great relationships and so many people that I've met that I'm so lucky to know and have met. And you don't have to do them wrong to do what I do. I can just be friends with them, just get along with them, just have a good time, and everything's fine. I can be honest with them. I don't have to lie and be a douchebag to do what I do. I can just be friends with people and nice to people, just like I am here at my regular job, which has, by the way, nothing at all to do with the music business.
Still, it's an awesome job.
I can't even call it a job, but it's something that I do. I don't get paid for it, and I love doing it. It's all for the love of the people that come every year. That's the reason it keeps me doing it. It's the reason it keeps all of us doing it. It's just the relationships you build, the people that you meet, and the new relationships that you build every time that we have a Crew Fest. It's worth everything to me.
So if people want to give to the charity that you're still doing through the Crew Fest, how can they get a hold of anyone, or the right people rather, in order to donate to your foundation?
The foundation is actually Letty's Angel of Hope. I want to say it's based out of Houston, Texas. Susie, one of the people that helps me with Crew Fest, knows the guy that puts it together, knows it's legit, knows where the money's going and what have you, which is huge because there's so many charity events that not everything goes to where it should go. And, we're doing all this and then just giving the money away. You want to make sure it's going to a good place. And, I don't want to just give it away why give it to somebody that's done nothing for it, So it better be going to a good place.
Can make like $100,000.
Yeah, I'm not here to pay somebody's salary. Yeah. Hell, I'll keep it if it's going to go to somebody like that. Exactly. But, so we want to give it to somebody that's benefiting, and because that's what it's for. And but Letty's Angel of Hope is who we give the money to now in the memory of Skylar Neal, Vince Neal's daughter that died of cancer back in '95.
It's leukemia, right?
Yeah, it was some kind of stomach cancer.
Okay.
Yeah, and
I don't know, I was thinking it was leukemia.
It might have been. It's been so long ago.
You'd probably know more about it than I would, honestly.
I can tell you I remember Skylar's birthday. She was born March 26th, because that's my birthday, of 91. And she passed away on August 15th of 95, because my son was born in 91 also. And his 4th birthday was August 14th. And she passed away one day after his 4th birthday. So I can remember when she was born and when she passed away because it was so close, and she was my son's age.
And is there any one charity or one place that the money goes to now? Once it goes to this charity, who do they give this money? Who do they give the money to?
You know what? I'm not 100% sure. Susie works with this guy, and I trust Susie with my life. And I know she works with this guy, and I'm not exactly sure what they do with it or where it goes. I know it goes to childhood cancer, but I don't know if it's to one certain thing or if I don't know where it goes from there.
Okay. All right, so that about wraps it up, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We're going to come back with some really great road stories, some pictures, famous people stories. This is the Freaking Geek, guys. We're out.